sucks. Lieutenant Dan Snob. I'm gonna stop saying that. He does suck. I'll be honest with you, I don't like him as a, not that I dislike him as a person. He is really crap. Well, hello and welcome to Raider HQ After Dark. I'm your host, Raider. And yes, I know you can hear me during that little 60-second intro thing. It's intentional. So real quick before we get started and before we flood me with questions, I do have some housekeeping to do. First things first, I would like to say that sometimes in my videos, you guys will see like the first part of my profile name, like in the address bar whenever I show stuff from my computer. And you guys have flooded me with emails saying, "Hey, look, man, you're saying your name on there, and hey, it's this." That's actually not my name. That's part of an email that I have that I use to set up the computer on. So that's actually not my name. So I just wanted to put that out there formally. Just so that way you guys, I mean, I love the sentiment. Like, I love the fact that you guys are, trying to, keep me from doxing myself, but that's not my name. So don't worry about it. It's just part of my email. And I have a long email, so it's not anything that should be concerned about. So that's the first thing I kind of wanted to talk about. The second thing I wanted to talk about is we're slowly but surely inching closer to the 10K subscribers. We're at 9,700 and I think around 50. So I thought we're on a first name basis. I'd like to, I'm just going to do these real quick. Matthew, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate it. The original LBS Swan, thank you all for also becoming a member. I'm a little tongue-tied today. I don't know what it is, but yes, you may call me Stacy. So I just wanted to kind of talk about that. I'd like to take the time to thank everybody for like watching the videos. You guys are awesome. All the subscribers. We're slowly inching closer there. And yep. Sorry, I'm reading the chat currently. Oh my gosh, the hero coming in here. I mean, can I? I mean, yes. It reads like stereo instructions. So, oh man, I'll have to email me this one, the hero, so I can do it. It's not one I'm prepared to do right now, but yeah. What's your decision? I'm curious. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight before we get too far into the questions portion is I wanted, and I'm glad the Salty Old Marine's here because I'm hoping that the Salty Old Marine does a follow-up video on this, what I'm about ready to talk about. Now, I'm going to be talking about, can a CMP examiner use age to discriminate against you during the examination itself? And if so, what does that look like? Okay, I thought it was a pretty good topic. I know it's not something that I don't feel like comfortable putting it into a video itself, because the reason why examiners can discriminate due to age is because the M21-1 manual and the 38 CFR are pretty, it's such a gray area that it allows raters and it allows examiners to basically exploit age within the CMP exam. So, guys, give me a little bit here. And Doc Shelley's right. RVSRs who are raters can do mostly what they like in the absence of direct guidance to the contrary. So, unless the M21 tells them they have to do this, this, and this, if you give them a big old threshold of space to where they can just do what they want, then shenanigans will occur. So let me see here. I didn't quite set this up beforehand, but we're going to do it now. So let me kind of show you what I'm talking about here. I've included, this is one of the DBQs. I will do the spine one first. So this is a DBQ, okay? Now, what I'm going to be talking about is if you're over the age of like 55, 65 type thing, and I'll get to that question here in a minute. Actually, I'll just do it right now. Can a supplemental claim for PTSD hold up a new claim for depression and anxiety? Yes, it can, because you may only have one diagnosis for mental health. Well, I shouldn't say it like that. You may only have one rating decision for mental health. So typically what will happen is you should go to the PTSD exam since it's the more intensive examination, and they should do both of them under the PTSD. So it can hold it up, yes. Now then, back to the topic. So hold on, guys. Just hold on to the questions. Okay. So what we're talking about is we're talking about age, okay? And I'll kind of muddle through here and I'll show you what I'm talking about, okay? Now this has to do with any musculoskeletal condition, okay? And what I'm basically getting at is there's a section in the manual here, or not in the manual. Jeez, I'm having a bad night. There's a section in each one of the musculoskeletal DBQs that when we start reviewing for range of motion, the examiner, like let's say that you have degenerative disc disease, and let's say that you can only bend 30 degrees forward, okay? The examiner has the ability to do this right here, this question. If the range of motion is outside of the normal range, but is normal for the veteran for reasons other than back conditions such as age, right here. If you're, like, let's say that you can't bend over very far, like you've only got 30 degrees of range, okay? The problem is if the medical examiner says that, oh no, the reason why he can only bend 30 degrees isn't because of his degenerative disc disease. It's because he's 75 years old and it's age related, or he's 65 years old and it's age related. His normal aging stenosis of the spine has made it to where he's not as flexible as he once was. So because of age and because of this section of the manual, why do I keep saying the manual? Slap my hand. So because of this section of the DBQ, normally they would say that the range of motion is abnormal or outside of the normal range. However, because of your age, they can mark it normal and there's no way I can fight it. Are you guys picking up what I'm putting down on this? So if you can't bend over because you're old, the examiners can legitimately classify your range of motion, even though you can't bend over to any degree, as normal for you because of your age. And this is a pain in the backside to try to overcome. So I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about especially you more seasoned veterans out there, where this might come into play and how you can talk to your doctors, okay? And you can maybe make it to where the examiner cannot use age against you, okay? Now, this is on just the thoracolumbar spine, right? Where they have that age requirement. So, this is the thoracolumbar spine. I also have the shoulder DBQ up here just to give you a contrast. And um, when we come down here to the range of motion, it's the exact same. It's the exact same on all muscular skeletal conditions, guys. So, they cannot use age outside of muscular skeletal because range of motion appears to be on the DBQs the only um, what is restricted due to age. Range of motion is about the only thing that they can do that on. Okay, so uh, GC Jarhead, can you give him my email, please? Um, so this is on all of them. Now, what you'll see here is you'll see normal, all is normal. Then, as long as they put anything down here, right? As long as they put anything in here, they can come down here and they could put you at 0 degrees all the way across the board, and you would still get 0% for range of motion. Or if you had painful motion, you can still get the 10%. Okay. So keep in mind, all of you that are getting ready to do the what is it, Ingram v. Collins, okay, if you're a more seasoned veteran, okay, you need to make sure that you are going through and you are talking to your doctor about it. Give them examples of the difference of range of motion depending on what your circumstances are. So, how do you fight it? You go to your doctor and you say, "Hey, look, this is what my normal range of motion is," right? But because of my injury, I have pain and my pain restricts my range of motion. If your range of motion is always like that, then the examiner can default to age. If you talk about how your range of motion waxes and wanes or changes over time, depending on the circumstances, like let's say you had to lift something heavy, you ended up hurting your shoulders, your back, whatever you got service connected, and it's more impaired today because you overused it or something. It would be a good idea to identify the changes in range of motion over time. That way, like I said, that way the examiner cannot just go, okay, you can only move it from here to here. Okay, I think that's due to your normal age. I don't see any discrepancies here. There's no real change in the range of motion. Um, Let me see here. Let me go up. John Williams. Well, I mean, technically, a VA employee is a Fed, so I mean, it, it. I don't know. This makes me laugh. This makes me laugh. I hope you're joking, John. Um, what if this? Okay, so let's answer a few questions on this topic. So, what if this range of motion's been this way all the time? Well, if it's been this way all the time and that's kind of your norm, having your private provider weigh in on the fact that it's due to the disability and not the age. So basically, front loading your records before you do, like, let's say an increase or you try to service connect it, as long as you front load, um, as long as you front load those treatment records with those factoids, it'll give you a higher probability of the examiner not defaulting to, oh, this is age and not the disability. As long as your doctor keeps saying, no, 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 this impairment is exclusively due to the disability, it prevents the examiner from attributing the impairment as normal for your age. Okay. Um, Yes, Salty, a private DBQ can help in such situations. Now, if let's say you were the victim of this, right? Where a prior examination found you to have age-related impairment, which is normal, okay? Having a private examiner just write down different numbers won't fix the problem. The private DBQ has to actually say, you know what? I read the last DBQ or I've heard what the veteran told me. I believe that this impairment of range of motion is exclusively due to the disability and not due to normal acts of aging evidenced by X, Y, and Z, right? So just keep this in mind because some raters will see this as all normal and then they'll come down here and they'll see zeros and they'll send it back and they'll defer it back. And they'll say, hey, look, you can't have all normal and you can't have zeros across the board because the maximum range is 180 on the shoulder. They would be in the wrong, though. They would get an error because the examiner explained, they provided an adequate explanation as to why the range of motion outside of normal is in fact normal. So this is a gray area to be interpreted by the rater different ways. So you can have some raters that apply it this way. You can have some raters that do not apply it this way. So it's something that's not talked about all that often. And as tongue-tied as I am on the topic in the live stream, I think just doing a normal video on it, it would be hard for me to articulate this. But I do think it's an important topic to discuss because, and back me up on this, the Salty Old Marine, just there's I think personally, I would be emotionally devastated if somebody said, oh no, that's normal for you because you're old. I don't know how I would react to that. I think I might snap actually if somebody said that to me. But that's just me. So keep in mind that this is not an absolute, but for range of motion, if you're a more seasoned veteran, I would personally make sure that your medical records indicate that that if you have range of motion limitations, and this has to be true, guys, that if you have range of motion limitations, that it is not normal for your aging, it is due to the disease. Okay. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about whenever it came to that. Now, let me just do a couple of these real quick. And I already answered that one. And thank you for the donations. Good night for a live stream, sir. I should send you my DBQ and medical opinion so you can do a video on the good, the bad, and the ugly DBQ and medical opinion look like. I have a medical opinion CMP Tuesday and we'll report back. Okay. Like to hear it. Thank you for the donation, super chat, super comment, super whatever. Was rated for migraines, and then the VA opened up a TBI claim and is now sending, okay. Now sending to a PTSD exam, which I am already 50% for. Can I withdraw TBI? I wouldn't withdraw TBI. I would go to the exam because sometimes TBI can be rated separately than mental health, but they are kind of connected to each other. So you have to, it behooves you to want to go. There's very few instances where the mental health gets better, and 50% is not that high for mental health. I'll be honest with you. So I might go. I don't know. That's going to be a personal choice for you. But thank you for the super comment, super chat. Let me see here. So yeah, government shill indeed. So let's go back. We'll remove that. We will add me back. We'll add that back. Da, 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 da. And John Williams, you got to be careful because I have unleashed the full power of the moderators. So be nice, everyone. Be nice. Okay, so CMP exam for multiple joints. Examiner did not physically exam and refused to measure my range of motion or document flare-ups. I brought it up the CFR and M21. She said they don't ask for that and put in random numbers. Okay. Number one, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I honestly, I truly am. That is the most frustrating and helpless feeling that I mean, I've experienced that before myself. I will tell you that the examiners do not care about the 38 CFR and they do not care about the M21 though. Bringing that up to them, they don't care. They're not bound by it in any way, shape, or form. They're bound by their contractual obligation under MDEO as to what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to complete the DBQ. Anytime that you have this, the first thing that you want to do is you want to start just sending in documentation saying, "Hey, look, they didn't talk to me about, like I have flare ups. They're documented here, here, and here, and I don't. They didn't consider it. They put in random numbers, stuff like that. So that way, the rater can actually, call into question the examiner and go, "Hey, look, what's going on with this?" Sometimes we'll even send the veteran to a different examiner, maybe even a different vendor, if they can't get a fair shake. One of the things, and this is going to be kind of a longer answer to this question. So, one of the things that as the raters don't want to do is when we defer back to the examiners, we don't want to try to fight with them because the person that loses is always going to be the veteran. Because if you piss off an examiner, they're just going to say what they're just going to do spiteful things typically. So it's best to not try to fight with them too much. So sometimes, like, I would get a different examiner to do it in the past. Um, I submitted a statement, so that's a good thing to my claim right away and explain the issues requested. New adequate exams. Decision was made anyway. So you can do a higher level review on this and you can just report the fact that you submitted evidence of the insufficiency of the exam and it wasn't acknowledged. And, before the rating decision came out, and then they'll probably send you for a different exam. If this happens and you do decide to do a higher level review, make sure when you do your informal conference to ask for a different vendor because the worst situation that you could have is you get a new exam and you go back to the same human being and it's like, oh, great. That sucks. My biggest problem with the last CMP I had was my age and length of time out of service, even with doctor's nexus letter. And that can happen, right? Like that is a problem that it can be generalized to every single veteran is the longer that you have been outside of service, the more critical the examiner is about your chronicity and continuity of care. So you have to explain in some detail the time in between service and now. And you can do that through buddy letters, personal statements, objective evidence, everything like that. Just remember that if you're going to submit buddy statements, you have to prove that that buddy was at that place at that time in order to have their opinion that they have. Um, they probably will use it against me when I file for hearing loss. I don't know the context. My favorite VA examiner stated, "It is at least as likely as not." That's a favorite statement. Okay. Be rad. Okay. I had a pair of ACE exams scheduled the same time as one another. Was surprised to actually get a call to go over the DBQ and such. Ended up being a lot like a telehealth appointment. Is that normal? Yeah, it can be normal, Brad. It depends on what it's for. Some some examinations, like respiratory examinations, examinations where there might be some diagnostic testing, or they need to lay eyes on you to confirm some things like mental health. And like mental health can't be ace, but just some examinations require you to be there, some don't. Like sleep apnea, there's a lot of times when people don't need to attend an examination just because, it's, or if it's like a presumptive condition, you don't need to sometimes attend certain examinations. Hold on just a second. Sorry, I'm back. All right. So let's see here. Da-da-da-da-da. I have a CMP examination on the 8th. Instead of asking for a CMP examination for a VA funded surgery that left me on event with a trach for 2 weeks, they're doing it for knees and back. Okay, so that's an 1151 claim that you were talking about there. That if the CMP examination, if there was some negligence associated with the surgery, then that could be an 1151 claim. Okay. Let me see. Actually, let me turn on my rolling chat so I can see. GC Jarhead says, Raider, are there any steps I can take to remedy my exam request / records timing issue? Not in real time, unfortunately. You might be able to, if you can go to a VSO, you can potentially ask them to contact the VA, maybe the VSR, to see if they'll, you know, amend it if you need additional stuff added to it. Let me see here. I have a service connected TBI okay. Since 2018, I'm applying for aid attendance. I don't know what PCAFC is. I don't know what that is. Corey, I'm going to need you to define what PCAFC is. Yes, GC Jarhead. You can let it ride and go to a higher level review and have evidence to support the higher level review. Yeah, that is a true thing. All right, NP late. Okay. When you say they're suggesting normal range of motion, is that to justify no diagnosis, or when there is a diagnosis but limited range of motion isn't due to the to the diagnosis in section 1? The answer to this question, it can be both. Okay, so the answer is both. They can use it to say, hey, look, I know that the VA has, or the veterans treatment records show that he has cervical strain, but unfortunately, I think that his range of motion impairment is due to his age and not because he has cervical strain. So that's the first instance where they can use age against you and say that, no, 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 I don't think he has a disability per se. I think he has an age-related impairment. And they can deny for that. The second one is it is service connected. And like, let's say you're doing an increase or something along those lines, and you end up, sorry, Luna's coming and going throughout the house right now. So give me a second. So the second one is that if you lost my train of thought. Luna, you made me lose my train of thought. The second one is if you end up having a service connected disability, they can actually say that the range of motion limitations are due to age and not due to the disability, and then it's 0. Sorry that took so long. My brain just died. Okay. Can you explain what length of personal statement for mental health should be? Also, what you should focus on and leave out of a mental health statement. Now, Mike, I did extensive videos on that, but the thing that I would say is extra scheduler information. So, like, were you divorced? Things that are not related to the 38 CFR, I would do personal statements on. Do you have social and occupational impairments? If so, what do they look like? You have to provide examples if you've had like legal troubles, divorces, loss of job, things like that. Okay. I would add those. Keep the statement short because the examiner doesn't use statements in their assessment as much as they use your clinical presentation at the time of the examination for mental health. You can write as many statements as you want, but if you present opposite to those statements, the examiner will default to your physical presentation over your statements every day of the week. I don't know if that makes sense, but okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. You do good on sick 'em. Okay, we know we're old, laugh out loud, but I front loaded my claims with private DBQs and Nexus letters. Strong personal statements explaining chronicity. I was out of the service for 40 years. And that's true. See, very good. Like, this is the way, as they say in Star Wars. So, this is what you want to do. You want to make sure that, you're you're providing all the evidence. It's like taking a test and studying for the test. Everything has to be true, guys. Like, we're not making stuff up. This isn't like, embellishment or anything like that. But you honestly want to make sure that your evidence is clear, concise, and digestible for somebody with an eighth grade education. Because raters are not medical experts, contrary to popular belief. Some of us are, but not every single one of them. So you have to play to the lowest common denominator. When you write your stuff, make it easy to understand, easy to follow. That's oh god. Yes. Yes, it is man. I should well, I'd probably Disney would probably smite me into the ground if I put up images of the Mandalorian on here. No. No, tinnitus is still a standalone condition. That has not went into effect. So, keep that in mind. So, okay, guys, this is why I don't report on things until they become true. I know that like every 10 minutes, YouTubers are out there talking about how tinnitus, mental health, sleep apnea are going to change. Okay. When that change goes into effect is whenever I will tell you about it. Okay. I will give you the hard date. You need your claim in before this date in order to secure the historical rating criteria if you want to for the condition. Okay. So, yeah, tinnitus is still a separate thing. I have my back CMP coming up in 2 weeks. Can I show my DBQ filled out by the VA hospital to the examiner? Oh, that's just dirty that they did you like that. Yeah, I mean, sometimes people have told me this that they could there's if you go to the vendor website that you have the exam through, sometimes you can upload the exam to the vendor portal and take it with you and just reference it and just, you know, make it to where they actually utilize it. Um, I meant to tell you I had a veteran who was able to use his parachute badge this week for his claim knees. I wouldn't have known that, but for you, Raider, thanks. Yes, those are what we call events in service. And thank you, MCM, and congratulations to your veteran because we have to be able to point to it. So on your DD 214, there will be a parachutist badge on there. We can point to that as objective evidence of no different than, say, a car accident, right? Because there was some kind of trauma, jumping out of a plane and coming screaming to the ground is going to cause some kind of trauma. It's kind of known. So anyway, that is that. What happens if you're rated 10 to 20% for back, but eventually you age to the point where it may be more normal to lose range of motion? Well, if you're 10 or 20% and you never touch it again, then the VA is not invested in that. Like they're not gonna seek you out. But if you file for an increase, there's a chance where the examiner can actually say that it's your limitation of range of motion is more related to age than the disability in question. That's why I brought that whole thing up. So, as long as your evidence supports that the disability is causing the impairment of range of motion, then you should be fine because the examiner can't come to that conclusion. Or if they do come to that conclusion, the rater should be able to see, or if you need to, higher level review, DRO should be able to see that you specifically have evidence to the contrary. So we would send that away um, and have them fix it. Um, okay, I think I don't see any more of those. Yeah, do not mention fatty liver or else you will be smited. Not really, though. Um, looking for questions. Thank you for your response. So you're saying that marked atrophy is just ticking the box. The word marked doesn't necessarily. They just have to specifically hit the right box. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm screwed. 75% or higher of the rater's job is transcribing checkboxes from the DBQ onto VBMS. That's it. And the more technical something is, like atrophy itself is a very, like, that's deep in the middle of medical territory. And raters are not medical. So they're not going to understand it. They're just going to transcribe box. Okay. That's the way that's going to go. Uh-oh. Luna's up and she's on the move. Do not know, get legal help. Contact. Cool. Okay. Okay. Can veterans file a car or can a VSOs only do it? I think only I don't know about this question, to be honest with you. Um, I think only VSOs can do it. I'm speculating. That's a speculation right there. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Denied about 10 musculoskeletal claims 10 years ago, submitted a supplemental claim and got them all service connected recently. Awesome sauce. Good for you. Doesn't it grind your gears though that what's the difference between then and now? Like that's the frustrating thing about me. Like I honestly wish that they would do something about that. Because if nothing's changed only than the doctor's opinion, it should go back in time. It should honestly go back in time. But it doesn't because of 38 CFR 3. 38 CFR 3.2501 is why it can't go back in time because the VA put that restriction on there. I hate it. All right, T-Bird filed supplemental, got decision denied. Said I didn't attend the exam, but no exam was scheduled. Said rated on existing evidence, yet ignored PNT. Jeez, PNT exam, new evidence. Thoughts? I might do a higher level review and say, look, you got to pick one or the other. Either I did attend the exam or I didn't attend the exam. And I should have gotten an exam. Send me to an exam, please, and get another shot at it, I guess would be my 2 cents. I was rated 0% for TBI, but denied migraines secondary to TBI. I have at least one prostrating migraine per month, had been on prescription meds and a diagnosis. So Sandman, the part about that, okay, that When an examiner comes to the conclusion that something else caused your migraines, that's how they can get away with just denying you for element three, the medical nexus or medical link between the two things. So, the way to combat that, and this goes for pretty much any secondary as long as it physically can be secondary. Um, oh God, Jack Frost. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Sorry. So Sandman. I'm going to get back to Sandman here. I get distracted in the chat. So the best way to combat this would be to get medical evidence showing that there is a link between your migraines and your TBI. That's through new doctors' visits, new treatment records, your doctors opining on the fact that they are connected to each other, things like that. Maybe neurological studies. So that's my 2 cents on that. My VA primary completed a FMLA for work, but they are still asking for a CMP. Confused because the real issues are from aggravation from a surgery. They put me on a ventilator with a trachea. Yeah, I don't. That sounds. It sounds like a 1151. So, yeah. I would treat it like it's an 1151 and see if they have negligence, because if the trachea, if the side effect of the surgery is the normal side effects are to potentially be put on a trachea, then you can't do an 1151 tort. It's basically a tort saying that the VA uh, caused you a disability based upon negligence of treatment. But I don't know. 5 years, 3 deployments as a grunt, was stuck at 20% this whole time. Well, congrats on the increases though. North Idaho guy. Raider, honest question. Why shouldn't vets have access to VBMS in a read only so we don't have to go through the VSO? If you can find one that has access, thank you for all that you do. Okay, so I'll play both sides of this coin. Okay. On one side, there's a lot of different by opening up access like that, sometimes there's different things that are put in there, like providers information, different stuff. I wish they would open up a separate portal, not VBMS, because if they gave access to VBMS to veterans, they could technically hack, somebody could technically hack into the program. So by not giving access to VBMS, it's actually protecting the system. But what they should do is they should make a portal that's specifically for your evidence and let you access it. I mean, you're able to do that in the military. You're able to access your medical files through portal there. I just don't understand why they don't do it here. I think everyone should have access to it. It should be on va.gov, to be honest with you. Redacted from all social security numbers and whatnot and all that stuff. I don't know. Just my opinion. Has anyone had VA cancel their direct deposit for the payment because they didn't submit a voided check? Yes. Also, do supplemental claims not show up on the app or website? I know that today the app has been really wonky for people. I've heard 2 complaints so far today for it, that they had to, when they went in, all their claims were gone. Like they had 2 claims open and their claims were gone, and they went back in and refreshed and they were there. So it was just kind of a really weird intermittent issue. MCM, no. No, your STRs are not able to be seen through there. No. If VSO never recommended filing for MUCME, even though they knew about Gulf War service, will we need to do a new claim for MUCME? No. So this is where the duty to assist comes in because veterans do not know what theories for service connection could apply to them. So before the claim is rated, as long as the condition qualifies under 38 CFR 3.317, under the 13 uh, categories, as long as it qualifies under that and the medical cause of the disability is not medically known, it's medically unexplained, then the rater should catch it and get you a actual go for gen med exam is what it's called for the MUCME. But yeah. Um, I submitted a supplemental claim for migraines early November and have not heard anything back. Is there a reason for this to take so long? No, November of like just November. It takes as long as it takes. I mean, we're looking at 90 days, typically 94 days, 95 days before things get rated. But I mean, I come from a time period when my first claim took 3 years for me to get an exam. So 3 months, 2 months is not too long. Okay. So it's not taking so long, in my opinion, because mine took 3 years before I could get my shoulder exam. Your C file sensitive? It should flip right back over, Doc Shelley. So how long does the VA keep your C file sensitive at, like sensitive 7 type thing? It should be flipped over as soon as you retire. John must have fatty liver. Raider, question on secondary. VA received on what? VA received on 12/23 step 1 and as of yesterday was on step 5. Is that good or bad? Did you go to an exam? Because you should go to an exam in between that time period. If not, then they might not have had enough evidence to send you to an exam, at which point that would be bad. Unless you're presumptive and max, yeah, it'd probably be bad. It could go a lot of different ways. Is examiner required to measure range of motion for knee while weight bearing? Not while weight bearing. No. Mine is severely limited weight bearing, but they refuse to measure that or document flare ups. So, range of motion while weight bearing is not, I mean, you've got repetitive motion, you've got, um, the DeLuca, all the stuff. So, you've got flare ups. I find it odd that they're not measuring for flare ups whenever you say flare ups. But then again, I did write down some stuff. So I've spoken to a couple of people. Got a little handy dandy notebook here, so hold on a second. So we're going to take a pause for the questions, okay? So I would like to talk about trends, the current trends that I see with the exam vendors and the VHA on exam requests, okay? So this statement about examiners not doing flare-ups, this is becoming more common. Sometimes, like, examiners are weird. They'll start behaving the same. Like, they'll have the same templates. They'll have the same, like, they'll start answering things the same way. And when they start behaving that way, you'll see changes, okay? Because they've been forced to do Ingram v. Collins, and now this is the point where this is my opinion and what I have spoken to other raters about. Okay, so I'm just putting this out here as this is a facts found, boots on ground type thing and not an absolute fact in the M21. So examiners are currently not doing flare ups. I actually have my notes right here. They're not doing it because they have to do Ingram v. Collins. And for whatever reason, they're not doing flare ups as much. They're not listening to people on it. They're not doing it. Um, it's it is what it is. I don't know why they're behaving that way. There have been complaints made to MDEO, which is the go-between between the VBA and the actual vendors and examiners. Okay. So there has been a complaint, and there have been a lot of claims deferred back for the fact that flare ups are not being addressed. Here's another. I wrote these out a couple of days ago and just forgot about them, but DBQs being filled out after the exam. So this is a nasty little trend that seems to be popping up where veterans are complaining, where the examiner will not actually fill out the DBQ at the time of the exam. So all the facts found are not able to be fact checked by the veteran at the time of the actual examination. Now, that is not acceptable. They should be filling out that DBQ at the time of the examination, because if they push that onto a different time, like they do it after the exam later on that day, they can forget stuff. The accuracy goes way down. And in my opinion, that's insufficient. Here's another thing. Saying they so there's another thing where, and now this is highly subjective. Okay. Vendors, when they don't want to do exams that are outside of their comfort zone, I have been told, this is not something I've personally experienced. So take this with a dump truck worth of salt. Okay, this is hearsay. Okay, this is scuttlebutt. This is gossip. Okay, vendors have been marking veterans as no shows when they don't want to do a specific exam if it's of a complex type, like Parkinson's or something like that. Like if it's yeah. So they've been marking the veteran as a no-show in order to just kind of get it the hell out of their queue. Um, this is a common theme that's picking up that has been that has been reported to MDEO, but it's hard to prove. So if your exam was canceled and you for no show, but it was erroneous, you need to put in a 4138 and say that. Okay. The VA needs more evidence of this so that way it can be brought to MDEO. And that way, the bad actors, the examiners, that way they can, John, oh God, hold on. John, we don't say that name around here. You keep that name to yourself. We don't say that name around here. There'll be no swearing in my channel. That's a joke. You didn't say anything bad, but I don't support that company. Vendors do not. Yeah. So also, here's another thing that's been working. Okay, that has been doing well. If you submit a private DBQ, I want you to actually go to the NPI lookup, look up the doctor, snip or print out their NPI information, and submit that with your claim. That has been helping. That yes, John. Don't say their name. Um, by snipping the actual NPI number, it's been helping a lot of VSRs kind of it for whatever reason psychologically validates the fact that you're saying, "Hey, look, I'm trying to prove that this isn't fake." So for whatever reason, um, oh God, I don't want to get into that. So for whatever reason, printing out their NPI registry lookup helps to give you more legitimacy when you're submitting a private DBQ. Um, yeah. So those are just some of the things I wanted to talk about. Now, um, uh, John, you got me there. You got me talking, John. So why don't I necessarily care for that particular company? Well, um, just because you brought it up and I said something, I'll just talk about it. I have nothing against them personally, other than the fact that they say the weirdest things that don't match anything I've ever experienced in my entire time working at the VA. They say really odd things that don't line up with reality, and it weirds me out. Um, and I don't know, but yeah. Why is fatty liver such a bad thing? It's an inside joke, Thomas. Those that have been here a while know. It's kind of an inside joke. Thank you, North Idaho guy. But yeah, like, look, man, I've got I've got respect for like people that want to do the private option and they want to go to a claims company or something like that. They want to spend their money their own way. They're an adult. They can do that. You can all do that. But the one thing, if you're going to put money into something, you want to know that the person, like that the company is competent, right? If they come out and say that they've got 800 employees, okay, but how good are you at doing this? Did you work at the VA? Did you do something along those lines? Did you have some kind of, how are you any different than the average veteran claim company? Like what's your secret sauce? Like what gives you the official title of being an expert? And if your claim to fame is that, and no offense to any VSOs that are in the chat currently, but if your only claim to fame is that you have a couple of VSOs that used to be VSOs that work for you now, they've never adjudicated a claim. So and this harkens back to the fact that sometimes a claims company can help you get the result you would have gotten if you would have just submitted the claim yourself. And Beth, no, anybody can work for the VA. Doesn't have to be veterans. No, you can work for the VA if you want to. It's not a bad place to work sometimes. But yeah. So, and I know we're picking on that one company right there, but I don't know what makes them special. Like sometimes they just say, like I've watched their comments. I've commented on a couple of their videos and said, "Hey, look, that's kind of weird. Doesn't really match up. Where'd you get that from?" And oh, that's true, Jess. You do have to be related to somebody. That is a funny, funny thing. Yeah. Well, no, and Jim, that's true. That is very, very true. But if you're going to pay somebody, what are you paying them for? Are you paying them for their expertise? Like I once stayed at a Holiday Inn level of expertise, or once I retire and get the accredited claims agent, some of you guys might want to utilize that claims agent service, which I won't. I'll advertise differently than this. That's why I don't tell you guys my name, is so that way, like in the future, I can just be that claims company and try to keep this thing separate from that. But I'd be able to say, hey, look, I was a raider, like you should come to me because I was a raider. I know this stuff because I granted this stuff. Well, I mean, anybody that wants to use them can use them. Okay. Like I just don't like them personally because they say weird stuff and they make up, like, I should watch how I say this. I have observed them say things that I know to not be factually true from the inside. And it has to do with AI language. And when people say that, it makes it seem like, oh, you should go through me because I know how to. There's this super secret thing that I only know about. And if you don't do that, then correlation equals causality. So, yeah, I'm not. And I know that one person in the comments, and I shouldn't judge anything by one person, but one person had said, hey, man, I think you're going to sell out. And I'm like, well, I'll probably I will sell out for coffee, but that's the only thing I will sell out for. But I don't think I'm going to get too many pats on the back whenever I, talk this way about different things. I mean, you've got to have your stuff together. Um, I mean, it would be nice. Can you comment on this issue? My appeal got put on hold because I have a FOIA request. I've never heard of that MO sex posture deep dive. Jesus. I've never heard of that. So yeah, that's kind of weird. Um, I don't know. It's just one of those things. I I didn't mean to come off so hard on that company, but it's just it's a very weird dynamic to have people like it would be like being a mechanic and then somebody that's not a mechanic telling mechanics how to work on cars and coming up with stuff that makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, blinker fluid and all, like just, oh yeah, you got to change that blinker fluid and being serious about it, right? Just being serious. Um, if your service date, what do I do if the VBA got my service dates wrong? Do your service dates matter? I mean, to prove something like qualifying service in Iraq or Kuwait, Saudi Arabia type thing, or I don't know. This depends. I mean, look, you can use them. You can go. I mean, from what they said, they've got a 97,000% success rate, which I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. Would you like me to be honest with you? If somebody guarantees you an outcome for the VA claims process, they are so full of shit, you should run away. Because I can't guarantee an outcome when I'm rating something. You don't know when QRT is going to come in and disagree. Like, it is impossible. I mean, the best that you can do is throw something in the right direction and you have a statistical probability of it coming out correctly. But there's so many choke points for where things can go sideways. The VSR can make things go sideways. The examiner can make things go sideways. The rater can make things go sideways. There is no way to guarantee anything. And yeah, they are lying to you because it's impossible. It is impossible. I'll tell you this. I have seen instances where presumptive conditions have been denied. Veteran has a diagnosis. However, it started manifesting before they deployed. That's an instance to where even if something's presumptive and you have the diagnosis, there's no guarantee of anything. The evidence itself is going to be what gets you across the finish line. Yep. Wait, what is it? Wait, hold on. Now you guys are going to make me go down here. T-Bird, you're making me go down. I'm going to lose my spot. I don't know what this means. I don't know who that is. Now I'm going to jump back up because I had a question. So real quick, I want to talk about something else other than them, other than that company, because it just kind of annoys me because I don't know. I don't want to sound like an elitist on that topic, but what do they bring to the table? And it makes no sense to me. But no, they're not farming higher level reviews out to law firms. No way on earth, no way under heaven. Number one, it would be the single largest HIPAA violation, no. That individual might be working for a attorney doing the higher level reviews for the attorneys, like, right? But no, they are not farming those out. There's no way to. Like, there's no, like, accredited attorneys themselves have no discussion in that pattern. There are enough droves to do it. Don't worry about that. Yeah, no, that is weird. Da, 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 da. Let me see here. So the other thing I wanted to talk about tonight is trending news. Did anyone? I'm going to be careful about how I talk about this because I'm really in a mood tonight. But did anyone notice that we declared war on Venezuela and we invaded it and we stole the president of Venezuela and his wife? Did anyone notice that in the news? Am I high right now? I think I'm high. I think I'm very, very high right now or something. I don't know. I think I've medically induced coma or something. But yeah, we just kind of we kind of did that where we invaded Venezuela. We've officially declared war on them because you can't go in and steal someone's president and that be acceptable. Now, why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because not because of the president or anything like that. That's not why I'm bringing this up. I'm bringing this up because of the senators. Any senator that is given the thumbs up to this kind of nonsense, when it comes time to fund the VA for the future, right? They had better be thumbs up in the budget on that, because anytime that you're pro war, you need to be pro veteran, disabled veteran. If you're going to use the military to execute a bench warrant, essentially, then you better be thumbs up in paying the veterans. You know, because there's some of them that are anti, like they're like, "Whoa, we're paying too much money; it's unsustainable." Okay, Congress is saying it's unsustainable, it's this and on that. Then you should be against starting a war, because that's essentially what we did. Because the president has said that we're going to now run Venezuela. I don't know what that looks like, but it's going to probably need peacekeepers. People are going to get hurt. Service members are going to get hurt. So the president doing that's fine. That's within whatever. I don't even want to get into that. But I'm more upset right now. Just I'm trying to compartmentalize my upsetness about this. How there are a lot of senators and congressmen that thumbs up this being the right thing to do is start a war. So keep in mind everybody that's doing the thumbs upping. And when it comes time to pay more to the VA, if they do a thumbs down, then we need to call them out on it. Okay, Tony, if somebody came in and abducted President Trump, would we be at war? You need to ask yourself that right now. Like, would we go ape shit if somebody actually abducted President Trump? I mean, yeah. I mean, isn't he the president? You're going to make me Google this. Da, 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 da. I mean, the U.S. will govern Venezuela. I don't understand how that's any different. And I'm not trying to make this political or anything like that. I try not to watch the news or anything. I'm just very, very sideways about senators thumbs upping these kinds of things because it's service members who are doing that. It's service members who are going over there, service members who are getting potentially hurt. And if we're going, yeah, I just, if, and I'm not trying to light everybody's fire under this. Nope. I want to keep this focused on the senators, guys. Okay. Let's keep it focused on the senators. If we actually start utilizing our military like this, somebody's going to get hurt. And when people get hurt, they have to have care. They've got to get disability payments. They've got to get everything. Oh man, so I started it. I see. But I just kind of wanted to talk about it because I want to make you guys aware that we need to hold everybody accountable when it's time to pay the due. This, whatever happened, happened, but there are consequences to every single action. And unfortunately, it is a moderator stress test. All right. Okay, guys, put it back in your pants. That's all I wanted to say on it. So, everybody be nice. We will pull the pin and throw. I did. All right, guys. All right. No politics other than this. All right, no politics. All right, calm down. No politics. Back to the questions and answers. Mr. Grenade is no longer your friend. Yeah. I did do it now, but see, I understand that's a sensitive topic, right? Everybody has passion. I think we can all unite under the same passion worrying about service members being hurt. Okay? Like whatever happens, it's out of our control. But as voters, right, as veterans, I think that we can actually come together. We don't all have to have the same opinion on something, right? But we can all come together and say, look, if you ramp up the danger, then somebody's going to get hurt, and then we still need to have, veterans get benefits moving forward, and we have to pay for it. Yes, and Happy New Year. But yeah, so that was my only 2 cents on that. I probably won't be bringing that up again. But no, it just kind of upsets me because I don't know. It makes me feel bad, especially because my son wants to join, right? So think about this. Think about as a father, right? My son wants to join the military. And in these troubled times, I'm like, I don't really know if I can support it, even though I love the military, right? And I want to make sure that, like, he's planning on going in the next 5 months or so. Yeah, for the future veteran, Congress should be ready to support today's military members when they become veterans. Don't be yanking the rug out from under them. Yes, this is my point. MCM made my point. This is my point. That's my point exactly. Thank you, MCM. That's the point I was trying to make. But like my son, he wants to go in, and I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'm a torn person. It's very personal to me. All right, let me see here. And this is an option too. I'm thinking about him going into the Coast Guard. This is the chat. Actually, that's probably the mods right now. That's the mods and the chat. And yeah, no, like he's old enough. He's thinking about going in, and I'm just kind of I'm personally concerned. And you guys are my sounding board. So Space Force, Jesus, hold on. I want him to have. Oh no, I want him to have some pride. Okay, I'm joking. I'm joking. Space Force. I mean, I don't know. Space Force might still go, right? I was thinking maybe Coast Guard. Just depending on. I don't know. It depends on what he wants to do. I mean, he's going to make his own choice. He's a grown man, for God's sake. But it's just very challenging for me. Congrats. I mean, many of us see, and that's the thing, like we can all have like different political opinions and whatnot, but we're still veterans at the end of the day. You know, we gotta come together on certain stuff. And Doc, I understand that. And that's where I'm torn. I mean, I'm really torn about it. It bothers me. Because I mean, if I tell him not to, he's gonna do it anyway. And I just don't want him to pick wrong. I'm not going to say what wrong looks like because somebody like the chat will erupt again. I don't know about that. I got to do a couple of these things. What question? Thank you for becoming a member. My wife is a nurse practitioner with her doctorate. I should farm her out to fill out DBQs for people. That would be a hell of a conflict of interest for me, though. Yeah, I mean, it could be. If you do a video on stacked A, oh no, this is still okay. If you could do a video on stacked aid and attendance, that would be awesome. Aid and attendance, mental health, TBI granted separately. Aid and attendance, physical disabilities. Okay, I mean that's something that maybe I can do. Let the ASVAB decide. That's funny. We're at a minute six. We're at an hour 16. I might call it here in about 20 minutes or so. I don't know. And you know, I just like I was saying, just scary times, you know, to wake up and just have, you know, stuff go sideways. I don't know about the Navy. I'm thinking Air Force, you know, get that latte curl going. I'm gonna tease a few of you guys, so get ready. I was just thinking the Coast Guard though, because he'd be saving lives. I don't know. His choice though. He'll make the right one. So let me go back and revisit what we talked about today. So we talked about potentially getting to 10,000 subscribers before all hell broke loose in the chat. I'll be doing a live stream during the 10K subscriber thing whenever that pops off. So we'll just do a 10K live stream, no matter what day. I talked about the age-related discrimination on musculoskeletal DBQs and the need to strengthen evidence with your doctors that it's due to a disability and not due to age. I told the salty old Marine that he should probably do a video on that, but he's done 30 videos and his voice is shot, so he probably will not do that. The comment section burned down whenever I mentioned Venezuela, so that was there. JSMC, thank you. I will need the extra coffee. I talked about fatty liver. I did. I talked about fatty liver. That is true. I answered your guys' stuff. We are waiting. First John is going to be doing a list of unanswered questions, hopefully. And if First John can't get to it, then I'll probably do an alternate person. But a list of questions in which we kind of talk about, you know, all the missed questions and I actually answer them. I mean, that might be something I could do, is give out give out a I could do a code to give a drastically reduced like 20% markdown on the subscriber merch or something like, or the merchandise, the coffee cups and whatnot. I don't know. I could do something like that. Toxic Exposure Impact Act. Trying to think of what else I was wanting to talk to you guys about. Let's scroll up here to some questions and maybe answer a few of those while I'm waiting for my brain to kick in. Oh man, you guys just went nuts during the Venezuela thing. So Weston, about a BDD claim, you need to make sure that you have satisfied all the substantially complete requirements, that you've done it within like 90 to 180 days of discharge, that you have STRs submitted with your claim, service treatment records, STRs, and the fact that you need a separation health assessment part A completed and submitted with your claim. So we should agree to buy coffee cups at 10,000. You guys don't have to buy anything from me, for me, about me, to me. And that was my big thing too. I've watched a few of their live Q&As, and it's just a hot mess of like the blind leading the blind. Which, look, I'm fine with people trying. Like you can try reading the manual. Like nobody was born a raider or a VSR. They all had to learn it. Everybody had to learn it, and it's just reading comprehension, things like that. So, yeah. Now, I will say, if you guys didn't see it, I went to Dwayne Kimball's live stream the other day, and he actually invited me to talk with him. So we were on his live stream, his New Year's Eve live stream, New Year's Day, New Year's Eve. And, I spent about 5-10 minutes on there, and was talking to him about how the VA process kind of, we're just talking raider to raider type thing. And it's a pretty good time. You should go over there and look at it. It's in the middle of the video, but yeah, I should look at that. That's kind of the reason why I did the most recent. Today's video was about that. I did it yesterday, but posted it today. Let me see here. What else? It wasn't anything that was planned. I just happened to be over there, and I was just talking. I like watching live streams because I've attended a couple live streams whenever they happen. I like watching people's live streams, and I'll just sit there and I'll just chat with people, not trying to make myself important or anything during it. Just, like, hey, what's going on? I'll see somebody that frequents my channel over there. I'll be like, hey, how's it going? And then, it just goes off from there. Kevin, I think you've said this a couple of times. I viewed it. Hold on. You viewed it. That's the weirdest way to put that. I witnessed the event. Seems getting your private DBQ for mental health increase past the VSR to the hands of the RVSR is impossible, pretty much. Any advice on how to persuade the VSO to forego points and send RFD? That's what it is, to the VSR. I told you guys a little bit on that, where you get the NPI number of the examiner who completed your private DBQ. You go to the NPI registry or the NPI lookup and just snip or print out that page and submit it with your document. It lends a little bit of credibility, and it allows you to, kind of put them at ease that, hey, look, I'm trying to show you that this is legitimate. It's not a guarantee in any way, shape, or form. Uh, but it is what it is. Man, H Town. H Town, I witnessed, or I was on H Town's live stream too. Yeah, I was on H Town's live stream. I like H Town stuff. I do. Like it's different from mine, but things don't have to be the same. But yeah, when are you doing another? When are you doing another live stream? H Town. There we go. I'll force myself to talk normal. Um, but I'll tell you what, people were losing their minds whenever me and Mr. Kimball were talking together. It was weird, but yeah. So I guess we're gonna in the future. It sounds like he wants to do another kind of collaboration. There are not very many RVSR YouTube channels. There's only 3, counting mine, that I know of. Uh, Jeez. See you later. Have a good one. Okay. Well, I'll be sure to try to attend it. Okay. They are a secret society. I mean, you're a public trust level 3 employee. You can't, like, you're coercible. You cannot. Doc Shelley's yelling again. You cannot, like, tell people who you are. It weirds people out too. Is there's people in my life that know about it, but I'm highly secretive, so I don't like tell anybody. The Raider multiverse. It it kind of was, because I look. I mean, it's it hits different when you've actually done the job. Like, because you could see, like, me and Mister Kimball talking about things from a, oh yeah, no, okay, yeah, 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 and just kind of like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like old hat, you know. No, the answer is no, no. But I don't know. I like it. Why Raider? Why does my RO in Waco, horrible place by the way, always send me to the same examination company? Optum has some good ones, but some bad ones are not others available. Sometimes you can be region locked. There's no guarantee that all the VES, LSGS, LHI, or QTC, that all of them operate in the same regions. So sometimes, yes, you are region locked. Yeah. Doc Shelley cracks me up. Is it bad that I'm drinking coffee right now? I don't fight fatty liver. It's just frustration for me because I I don't know. Does anybody not know the story? Ooh, that's a good question, H Town. So, what motivated me to start my channel? So, this is going to be a little bit of a story. So, what happened was 2022 started the transition. I call it the Great Migration. When the PACT Act legislation was passed, there was a great migration between VSRs and RVSRs, where VSRs, they opened up all these new RVSR positions, and all the skilled VSRs moved over to the RVSR section. They all got a promotion. Okay. Which left the VSRs woefully a vacuum, like a knowledge vacuum, where all the best people moved over to rating. Now, it's not like one of those situations where you can go, oh, well, you're just in rating now. You can still answer questions to the VSRs. It doesn't work like that. Like once you transition over to rating, you've got to go to training. You've got to go to challenge. You're gone for like a month. You're in a window in a vacuum where you can't be bothered. And yeah, the spiritual wrestler, yes, he's the one that actually got me into this. I was watching his channel, but um the reason why I started my channel was because of there was this vacuum of information. So what happened was is like after I noticed that there was this vacuum, I started trying to teach as many VSRs as I humanly could because there was nobody there to teach them because all the subject matter experts left. And I mean, like, I got to the point where I was so sick of having the exact same conversation with the exact same raider that I thought, well, hey, I mean, like, I've been doing this for years of teaching people and mentoring people and training people on how to do different things. And especially whenever, because you'd get it from the raider side of it, you get it from the VSR side of it. And it's like people weren't even doing the right thing anymore. So I started the channel after watching The Spiritual Wrestler. The Spiritual Wrestler was a raider who was retiring, and he was putting out videos and whatnot. And I was like, wow, I reached out to The Spiritual Wrestler and said, hey, how did you go about doing this? And said that, they were retiring, so they didn't care at that point in time. So I'm like, okay, well then whenever I'm going to retire, I'll start my channel and then I'll not care as I'm in the retirement phase. So yeah, the spiritual wrestler is the one that I saw that kind of motivated me to start the channel. The actual circumstances of the cluster NATO of the vacuum of knowledge is what, like, I wanted to just do videos for VSRs and raiders whenever I started out. But just going, look, I don't want to have the same conversation with 72 people. Here, just watch this video. Please watch this video. And oh, okay. Okay, that's cool. Yeah. No, very cool though. The spiritual wrestler does not get the praise that he should. Very, very good. And then as to this, um, there might be something in the mix in the future for that. I'll be honest with you, MCM. I'm genuinely thinking of doing this, something like that. Some kind of thing. I mean, I was watching what do you call it? I was watching Mr. Kimball's in that live stream, he was talking about making an academy for claims processing and whatnot. I might do that for the VSOs. Like I might just make something to where there is kind of a training process that gets updated periodically, tailored towards VSOs. I don't know. I might do that. But so yeah, so H-Town, that was why I kind of started the channel, was to teach VSRs and RVSRs. And then I kind of said, that's kind of a jerk face move. Why don't I teach everybody? So why don't I teach the VSRs, the RVSRs, the accredited attorneys, and the veterans? And then that way, everybody can be on the same page and life is good, So I think I might, like, in the future, like if you want to talk about 2026, I'm thinking about maybe starting some kind of, not academy or nothing. I don't know what the terminology would be, but some kind of training program for VSOs to help them understand the foundational basics. Okay. something along those lines, like how the theories for service connection work, how the elements work, reading a DBQ, reading a narrative, reading a code sheet, how to do that. And that's what I kind of that's what I kind of wanted to do, maybe after I retire. I'm gonna try, yeah, VSO University. Um, because my goal is to make it to where people have access to the information. My goal is not to become rich, famous, or whatever. Like I don't know what anybody's goal is here, but my goal is just to honestly teach the information so that way everybody knows it and I can teach myself out of a job. Um, I mean, I think I am doing a podcast. I mean, honestly, what's a YouTube video? What's a YouTube live stream but a podcast? I mean, I don't know for the most part. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of what we're next VA secretary. Shut your mouth. Shut your lying mouth. That's a bad idea. Well, and I think that I'm gonna be making, yeah, I'm gonna try. I like teaching. It's something I've done for many years. I've taught individuals with severe mental illness. I've taught VA raiders and VSRs, which some share the same traits of people with severe mental illness. I'm just saying. But yeah, that's, I think my disabled Ronin has my same thing here. But yeah, I'm thinking about doing that. I'm thinking about you know, doing my best to try to just teach people. Sam Sams, thank you for the gifted membership. And Loach, thank you for the gifted membership. Uh I mean, I'll admit that's, hold on. John, that's not a, see, that's the problem. Is that you've had so, like, and I'm going to make a speculative statement here. I don't have anything to back this up. It wouldn't be bad if YouTube, if everybody was swimming the same way, right? If all the evidence was going in the same direction, if all the videos were going in the same direction of fact, right? Then I probably wouldn't have started my channel. But the problem is that there's so much misinformation out there that it makes it to where it's not a complex process if you're not fed shiitake mushrooms all the time and told the wrong way to do it. Like, and that's what I think is the problem, is that people have tried to reverse engineer how the process works to the point that they think correlation equals causality. And I'll answer this one. So I would do a 526 EZ and I would claim SMCK. That's what I would claim. Missed issue is what I would do. And I know that some people were kind of a little bit upset about how much I've been talking about the fear mongering. Like, some people are upset. They just want me to put out the information. But the one thing I've told a lot of people is, if I just put out the information and I don't say that the other information is wrong and point out why it's wrong, and the channels that are putting it out kind of, then it's my word versus their word. And the people that follow their guy, or that gal, or whomever, the people that follow that person will go, oh, well, my person's right. And then the people that follow me go, oh, no, this person's right. And it still bifurcates. Like, we're not coming together with the knowledge, unfortunately. Um, yeah, my info might be good for a nap, but yeah, I might actually do that. This one. Yeah, I mean, I get them, but I don't know. I mean, that is insane. That is insane. I mean, in the future, would I wanna do, like, a small, like see, I don't even know what would you guys wanna see? Like, if I ever went that way, and yes, rest in peace, Combat Craig. If I ever went that way, like, let's say hypothetically speaking, I wanted to make this into a business, what would you guys wanna see? Like, I don't have any aspirations for it. So, you guys would have to tell me what you would want. And I agree with this more. I wish that the VA and you know what? They try to do that. They have a YouTube channel that they try to put out information. But what's funny is they don't ask people that actually do the job. So it's just a hot mess sometimes. Um, I don't know. Yeah, it does. And I'm kind of past the questions. I mean, people can pay me in coffee, maybe. I don't know. As I just, and I know some people are really upset about the fact of like, because I've said a few times, it's like for my own claims, how many times are VA raters and whatnot high rated more often, more accurately than other veterans? It's because they know how to do the claims, what words to say, how to say it in a legitimate way, not in a making stuff up kind of way. But I don't know. Yeah. And this right here, like nope, that's not what that's not the one I clicked on, but fair enough. Yeah. What the I keep hitting the wrong button. My favorite videos are the ones where you spend time in the M21 DBQ for a subject and give out great tips for things that get missed. And that's what the channel is going to continue to be. So, no, like just because I'm talking about this, like stuff in the future and whatnot, and after post retirement thing and what that's going to look like, this is the way I'm going to be doing it. Like, I'm going to be doing a video tomorrow on diabetes. I'm going to be doing this, going in the M21, checking out the DBQs. And I know some people have said, well, wait a minute, how many videos can you do on that topic? Hold on, gotta sneeze. Yeah, yeah. My brain just blew out. But the deep dives are going to be what's going to continue to happen. But how many videos can you do? Well, the M21 changes all the time. So I got content for years with just them changing stuff. But yeah, I don't know if a boot camp yeah, I'm in his boot camp also. I don't follow anymore since he passed away. Yeah. But the boot camp I'm interested in that boot camp. See, I don't know what it's really weird. It's weird to see how the different business models work and stuff like that. I I feel like I'm gonna just be just the a naive person on this topic. As to the incorrect service dates, Grok says to include it as a supplemental evidence. Um, I mean, is this just a point of getting it correct, or is there value added to correcting it? Because if there's no value added to correcting it, then you don't need to correct it. Um, see, I don't want to do Discord because I'm not a fan of Discord. Just because, look, guys, I have trouble answering the questions in the live streams, and I've got to do subsequent hour-long videos about it. Discord would just be a nightmare for me because it would be question palooza. It would be no holds barred questions, off the top turnbuckle type stuff, and I'd have to answer them. And I don't want okay, and now this is a very good this is a very good thing, but I do not want to put questions and answers behind payment. You guys have got too much of that. You guys have got too much of this, hey, pay me money and you get special privileges. This channel is meant to be for everyone. It's meant to be an open forum. Unfortunately, there's only one of me and there's like thousands of people that want questions answered. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm still trying to think it out, but if you guys have any kind of wrong branch of service, okay. John, how do I get my VA doctor to give me a diagnosis for claims purposes? Have them put the condition. This is how I do it. I would like to make this part of my treatment plan. In whatever it is, just make it part of your treatment plan to where they have to reference it in the records. That's how I get around that. Then more votes. Yeah, this is what I'm thinking. Teaching VSOs how raters read files structurally, explain why cluttered submissions hurt veterans, train them on document labeling, indexing, explain common admin errors, and trigger denials. I mean, I can do all that, but one of the things I want to do is how things are rated. Literally. Hey, look, I want to claim my prostate cancer secondary to my eyeball. Okay. I mean, like there's some times whenever you would read submissions by VSOs who should know better that certain things can't be secondary, or that they'll do GERD due to MUCME. GERD is a structural issue. It can never be granted under the MUCME provision. Same thing with sleep apnea. Sleep apnea due to MUCME. Structural issue can't be granted under that. Hold on. John doesn't understand. So, John, what I was saying with this is ask them to say that you want the condition to be part of the treatment plan. You would like to add that condition to your treatment plan, and you would like some kind of treatment. If it's a musculoskeletal issue, ask for physical therapy. If it's a respiratory issue, ask for how can my condition be made better? What interventions can we do to make my condition better? And once they start making it part of your treatment plan, they have to account for it in your records. And that's the other thing. How things are actually rated matter, because you would not believe how many times I have observed a VSO that will send something erroneously into, make a claim, oh, let's claim TDIU, unemployability, and not tell the veteran that they get increased exams for everything. Now, if the veteran was educated to that, more often than not, they'd be like, okay, no, thank you. I'll find a different way. Because there are so many times when VSOs do TDIU and then the veteran gets a decrease overall because they didn't have a strong thing to begin with, a strong claim to begin with. King Sixburg, thank you for becoming a member. Thomas, technically, yes. Technically, yes, they can. What happens though, it's going to be up to the rater, and I'm going to be honest with you. Can I be honest with you? Raters do not do extra scheduler ratings very often because it's not something they're used to doing. So they don't like to do them because it opens the door to them getting an error for doing it wrong. So typically they don't have the training to do it. Thank you for becoming a member. If EMG CMP show mild to moderate peripheral neuropathy, but okay. I'll read this again. If EMG CMP show mild to moderate peripheral neuropathy, but the VA rates it mild or misses separate nerve extremity ratings, error under 38 CFR 4.124A? The answer is no. And here's the reason why, is because the M21 dictates, and I'll pull it up for you. Hold on. We'll get there. Let me do this differently. So peripheral nerves, we go here to peripheral nerves. We go to peripheral nerves. Okay, so this is how this section of the manual right here, this is how the VA rater determines what is mild or moderate. That examiner can write whatever they want on that DBQ. It doesn't matter, because the diagnosis itself, pain or numbness, count as mild. Okay. Moderate counts as you need changes in motor, sensory, and reflex. So motor and or reflex impairment, such as weakness or diminishing in hyperactive reflexes or hyperactive reflexes. So what does that mean? You cannot get to 20% unless you have strength and or reflex impairment. That's what that means. And it doesn't matter. That examiner could say it's the most severe thing they've ever seen on the planet. And if you're 5 out of 5 strength, so on peripheral nerve DBQs or spinal DBQs, there's a strength assessment that says, hey, look, are they 5 out of 5? There's also a reflex assessment. Are they like 2+ out of, type thing? When you have, if you only have a diagnosis and you have mild, if you have numbness or tingling or pain, then you're going to be mild. Moderate is about a 4 out of 5 strength and this counts for upper extremities. This counts for lower extremities. Okay. So you can't look at it like that. The DBQ, this is the one of the few instances where the rater gets to overrule what the examiner put on the DBQ, because the M21 dictates what moderate is. There's no definition on the DBQ as to what moderate is. So that's why the examiners get it wrong a lot of the time. I hope that helps. Let me see here. Was there something else? So I hope that answered your question, but no, it's not an error. It's the system working as intended, because the rater followed the moderate procedures by there showing no motor and or reflex impairment, such as weakness or diminished reflexes. So if you did a higher level review, you wouldn't win that. I think I have. That is the weirdest thing. The examiner kept saying neutral every time she asked me to move. Is that normal? Neutral. Oh, yes, I know you're going to get dinner here in a minute. Sorry, Luna is being a little bit of a turd. What is the... So what if neuropathy wakes you up at night? Hold on just a second. All right, let's see here. 85, control F, 8520. So paralysis of the nerve, 8520. Sciatic nerve, let's just call it the leg. There is nothing in here about it waking you up at night. Mild, moderate, moderately severe. Those are defined by the M21 section on mild, moderate, and severe. Getting woke up at night, sadly, is not on there. It's not a symptom at all. Oops. No. Does the M21 ever conflict with the rating scheduler for a particular disability? That's a good question. Trying to think. Well, conflict is a strong word, but I would say, what might I say on that one? The mental health maybe. Hold on. Um, trying to see here. I think mental health has one section in here that does conflict. The M21 does conflict with it. Oh, the the part about you needing to have like be unemployable completely, socially occupational impairment in order to get 100%, that is not factually accurate. You do not need you don't need total social or economic impairment, even though it's kind of implied in the 38 CFR. You can be 100% without having total occupational and social impairment. The M21 manual kind of overrides the interpretation of this. So, um, let me try to see here. Yeah, no, it's got to be up one. Bears on a solely examiner's assessment disability. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, so that's mental health can be totally occupationally, socially impaired to get 100%. Yes, but it doesn't require it, even though the M21 kind of, or even though the 38 CFR kind of implies it. What in the name? Mild to moderate distal to proximal axonal sensory motor affected more than sensory peripheral polyneuropathy. Need to see the strength. 5 out of 5 strength means you're mild. That's how that's reviewed. So if you go to your DBQ, which I mean, I do have the spinal one up here. So let me, oops. Let's look at the spinal DBQ real quick. So when you review the spinal DBQ, this is going to be true for both the neck and the back. When we get down here, we start looking at radiculopathy. Okay. This is where the muscle strength section comes into the strength testing. The strength testing is going to be 5 out of 5 is normal strength. 4 out of 5 is this is where moderate would happen. This is like moderate severe. This is severe. It's a little bit of interpretation by the rater, but 4 out of 5 would get me. I would give you moderate for that. Okay. So what you're looking at here is if all of these are 5, across the board, then your strength is fine. So you'll always be mild unless we come down here to the reflex exam, and this normal is 2+. So if you have all of this at 2+, you're mild. There's no way around it. That's what the evidence is going to show you. So each one in the peripheral nerve DBQ is the same way. It has this exact same setup built into it for the reflexes and for the strength. But this is how the VA, for VA purposes, calculates your radiculopathy severity. Okay. So, and what's funny is, and it's not funny, it's actually kind of, frustrating, is that if you come down here, they'll say like, radiculopathy, severe, 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 severe. Like if they submit this like this, that doesn't mean anything to the rater. The rater is going to overrule them all day long. So question 8, we don't take it into account at all. question 8 doesn't matter because we've got to prove it based upon the evidence. You are mild because of this. You are moderate because you have 4 out of 5 strength. Raters have to point to things to show that Emily, either one, strength is fine, but reflexes are absent, then you would be rated based upon that. Okay. Okay. Rater, I wanted a little clarification on something you talked about recently on exam request. The tabbed evidence doesn't include the C file, which is typically thousands of pages. Then that it depends on what you need it for. If something's service connected, then the C file is not needed to prove anything. If you're trying to get something service connected, then it'll be government government records is what it would come under. That's the title of it. It would be under government records. Those records would need to be of record to show something. Now, it also depends on what theory you're talking about, because if you're talking about the secondary theory, like I'm trying to claim my left shoulder secondary to my right shoulder, we don't need your STRs. We don't need your service records to do that because it's an after service injury. It's a secondary condition. So, just to kind of point those out, there's certain caveats to this and factors that need to be taken into consideration. Vet Pro. Vet Pro. What's Vet Pro? I'll send all that out via Vet Pro. Once you're in, they have it now, so you can sign in all forms. Do you mean like are you talking about not Vet Pro? What is it? The SCP program? Is that what you're talking about? Like the SCP for VSOs to send documents in, wire them in type thing? Is that what you're talking about? Oh, it's the program that you guys work from. I thought, do you ever use the SCP program for submitting your evidence? Okay. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're at 2 hours and I have went over my time. So that's about all I got for you guys tonight. Sorry I didn't get to a lot of your questions, but come early next time. Try again. We'll get to them. Well, I'm going to be doing diabetes tomorrow, so it's going to probably be a 40-minute or longer. Luna's over here sucking on a pillow, doing weird stuff. Anyway, that's about all I got for you guys tonight. Thank you. And if you can, we'll be talking in the future. I'll probably do a post about it, but we'll be talking in the future about post-retirement. What do you want me to do? I can explain meds in the diabetes one. But have a great night, Salty, Old Marine. We'll talk to you guys later. That's about all I got. It's Saturday night. It's time to party. Raider out.